We're on this journey to grow this $1,000 account, and today, well, I can smell the money. So we were up a few dollars yesterday just trying to figure everything out with the account. Now I messaged client services and I asked them about their stock locate charge, because when I get on the short locate monitor and request some shares, it's telling me that it's $25 in addition to a per share rate. But on their website for CPRO, if we look down, it actually says stock locate service charge $0, and they did confirm that, which is great for our strategy. I did pin that comment on yesterday's video. The game plan today is going to be similar to yesterday. We're going to keep things really tight. I got to keep the stops tight, the middle stops in check. Don't be flexible with the stops, be flexible with the reward. As Mark Douglas says, be very rigid with your rules, but flexible in your expectations, being the profit expectations. As in, set trails or leave a remainder to continue to work for you. So A, we're going to do what you guys all need to be doing, which is trading our edge. We're going to strictly focus on our edge. B, we're going to embrace the risk. And C, accept the results, being flexible on the profit expectation side. We're going to have single entries. We're not going to be scaling into these plays. I like the idea of that, but I've never been disciplined enough to successfully pull it off, whereas others can. I'm going to try to keep the training wheels on, be disciplined with my approach, single entries, multiple exits. I'm going to try to be comfortable in the green. My number one problem in trading for me has always been I don't let my winners work for me. I let the losers work. So what I learned, if some of you guys struggle with that too, one way to mitigate that emotion is to take part of the trade off. So that's why I do that. I have Shift H, get me out half of my position. So I know I'm green. I'm green. I'm just going to either be greener or break even on the remainder of the shares, because the adjusted stop is now your entry price. So we got shorts on ARQT, PFE, and TEVA. TEVA I'm probably going to stab at out of the gate. Speaking of stabbing and jabbing, PFE is Pfizer. ARQT at 1485 right now. If we look left of the chart, it's coming up to some major resistance. And speaking like I was talking to you guys earlier about adding into positions, something that's not a bad idea is to add into winners. Now, I've traditionally scaled into losers because when I first get into a trade, I'm more of a counter trend trader, or what they call a mean diversion trader. So what that means is on euphoria, I'll take the opposite end of the trade as a stock is moving up quickly towards a resistance level. And typically I start those kind of early, because when you're taking the opposite end of the move on momentum, when the stock's going up really quickly, typically you're getting in like front side of the move. If I would normally be taking a 1,000 share position, I would then take 250 shares and then 250 and then 500, kind of scale into it. When it works very well, but for me, it's like giving an alcoholic a drink, I understand some people are disciplined and can do it very well, but I like to trade, and when I'm trying to stick to my edge and then I got all these other stocks popping up, I'm like, oh man, I want to trade that. So I'm trying not to. I want to do the single entries, and recording these videos is keeping me accountable. So thank you guys. Let's do 50 shares. So I'll hit the hotkey Shift S when the market opens on up. And that puts my order on the ask, so a buyer has to slap that ask, if you know what I'm saying. Normally these things can flush right out of the gate, so I may take an entry on the bell. But because of the hype and momentum yesterday and the lack of volume after our pre-market and closing below the close and previous high, typically what happens on these is they fade and unwind. These psychologically, these traders that bought it on up the day before, unwind their positions when they see no follow-through momentum like they were expecting. So I like to short. Put an order out there at 2050. Just got filled. I have a $10 ultimate risk on it. I got into it expecting it to flush. If the ticker does the opposite of what you're expecting, then don't sit in it. At that point, you're gambling. Okay, I'm out of it. Let's see what the other tickers are doing we were watching. PFE coming on up. PFE, let me see what the risk is there. 2650. All right, let's try PFE. All right, filled at 2633 PFE with a 2650 risk. Boy. Maybe I just need to take the opposite end of the trade today. Press the wrong button like we did yesterday. Well, looks like I'm going to be stopping out of this one too. I was looking for the fade here as well, but it's holding up pretty strong. I'm going to get out of this one too. Okay, not great today. All right, let's take a step back and revisit what we're doing. PFE will probably work out now that I got out of it. Teva, I still like you. I'm going to take another stab, I think, at Tiva with the risk over 21. Order filled at 20.90. 21 is the risk on this, yesterday's previous high. Sometimes they just don't work out. We'll see. I don't want to dig myself into a hole today. I like this setup. I'm happy to stick with the single exits. Man, it's just holding up well. Definitely aggravated. This is probably called revenge trading, traders. Probably need to recognize that and get out of it. I got tight stop on it. Just yesterday's high. I like this resistance area. I kind of want to see these traders that bought into it right here start to profit take. All right, guys. I'm going to probably take this L. All right, all out. I have a rule. If I take 2 losses on one ticker, it is blacklisted. I will not trade it anymore. I don't want anybody saying, terrible strategy. Well, you can't say that all you want. I got a whole folder of these. If anything's terrible, it's just the way that I trade it. Because there's many of these setups. For instance, here's one that we were looking at. Same kind of setup, CRDF, and it's selling off, fading off. And here, maybe I need to just locate, because here's HSAI, the other one that I had to locate. And that one, $13, all the way down to $10.20. So everything we're touching right now, turning into doo-doo. The other two, look at my watch list down here. Tiva, PFE, RUQT, the ones that we had to locate. CRDF, working out. HSAI, working out very well. That's the joy of this. All right, let me flip around, see if there's anything setting up for us to fade. You can have a really low actual risk reward. I don't know if you guys seen the graph I posted, but if your reward's 2 to 1 on the risk, yeah, you can be green as low as 34% of the time. If your risk reward is actually like 1 to 3, your win rate required is only 26% to be green. But the problem is when we have nothing that's green, it's very difficult to do anything when there's nothing green. LX, another hangover kind of setup. I didn't have on my watch list, but this one's pretty nice. Pop up, risk previous highs, and fade off of that. This one was not pulling back at all. Look at what we had to work with. We have a couple of red candles. That's it. PFE might turn into a fader off of that resistance area. Should we stab at PFE one more time? This is what I like about PFE. It's got this big old bear flag, but it came right up here to resistance, which it hit. That's what I was looking at and liked for the fade off of that. All right, this will be the last trade of the day. Filled, 26.32. Let's see if we can get an inkling of green on this trade. The risk is up here at the 26.43. So this yellow line is the previous close. I like that. Previous close being that of yesterday. We got yesterday's resistance overhead at 26.40. Not only yesterday's overhead resistance, but that past chart history resistance I just showed you. So there's a lot of overhead resistance. I like multiple variables lining up, like I explained with the poker analogy, with the flop, the river, yada yada. Your hand just gets better. But I don't know if anything's going to get better and better for me today. So this is going to be my last trade against this resistance zone. I can't sit here after 3 or 4 losses. My emotions will start trading. And it's not worth it. Take the L on the day. We'll try to minimize that L with this trade if we can on this fade. If we don't, we need to back away. There's always tomorrow. I see these setups, and they're beautiful, and I love them. I'm like, this should work with PFE. The only thing I don't like is it's kind of like oversold, but the pattern's there. It's very pretty. Sitting kind of heavy right now. We got the upper shadow here under all that resistance. It looks great, but is it going to work 100% of the time? No, it's not. Nothing's going to work 100% of the time, and that's why we have to just get out of some of them. Tiva, obviously very aggravating, very annoying, and especially when we have 2 other symbols, HSAI and CRDF, that did work very well today, and we just didn't take them, and that's why we need to be working multiple positions at a time. And so it kind of eliminates the emotion out of the one ticker. If you're in 3 or 4 and you're like, oh, these are working, great, this one's not, just get rid of it. You're less emotional because you're not tunneled into that one ticker. When you are focused many at one time, I do think it helps you eliminate noise, because right now it's like I'm only in PFE, and I'm like, well, this one has to work. So for me, it's like I'm more emotional on this because this is the only one I'm in. If I'm working 3 or 4 at a time like I used to, I can just cut the one that's not working. So regardless what PFE does tomorrow, I'm going to take some positions. I may take them even in pre-market, all these hangovers before the market opens on up. And yeah, if the TIVA's kind of grinding higher, then so be it. Who cares? Because we had the CRDF elevator down and HSAI elevator down, which would have worked beautifully. All right, while that's working, let's answer a question or two from the YouTube section. I just got approved for CMEG and wanted to know if leverage is 4-1 or 6-1, because I've heard both. That's Desiree Day Trades. The answer is 6-1 leverage. I can actually show you that right now. If we go up to CMEG, and you see I have $1,019 equity. My buying power is 3,700, and that's because I have 100 shares of this, 2,600. So 2,600 plus 3,700. I've had over $6,000 worth of buying power on this account. So 6-1 leverage is the answer. Trade Group 432. Do you have a course that teaches your strategy? It's in the description below. Will you be shorting these setup? Yeah, I am shorting. That's mainly what I do is short. I'm gonna set a stop on this at like 26.40. I really don't want to back up to that and just go on with my day. And there we have it. That dashed line is my stop, 26.40. Gonna let this thing try to keep working and fading throughout the day. I'll update you tomorrow on the progress of that. I guess that was body odor I was smelling this morning. Right now we're sitting down, $40. We kept it tight, felt all the emotions of a typical trading day where the stocks we didn't trade all worked out, and then the ones we took were fighters. Stuck to the rules. If you guys don't have that rule, 2 losses on the same ticker for me, blacklisted. I got 100 shares of Pfizer on the short side. Still just grinding. I'll update you guys tomorrow on the progress of that. Traders, we're in this together. You're going to see the ups and downs. It's going to be fun for you. Some days not so much for me, especially now that I got to edit all this. If you found this educational, insightful, entertaining, anything, hit the like button below to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, because you're going to get to see firsthand what we can do staying disciplined with this $1,000 account. Traders, we'll see you tomorrow.